So today I'm going to be talking about the different kinds of penicillin and giving you a broad overview. So the first thing to remember is that there are many types of antibiotic drugs that target cell wall. Antibiotics that inhibit cell wall. There are many forms of them. One of them is called beta lactam. From that beta lactam, you have penicillin, which is a branch of it. This is a branch. So for that, I can make it in another color so you know that this is just a branch of it. Now, penicillin, you can talk about penicillin in different ways, right? It also has different kinds of branches. Some of them is very specific and wide range. And only some bacteria. We can also call them narrow spectrum. So you can say narrow spectrum, wide range or wide spectrum. Okay. Now, within the narrow spectrum, you also have two kinds of them. You have ones that are very, very specific. You can call it very, very, very specific, and they are somewhat. They're all the ones that are also somewhat specific. They're also bulky, somewhat bulky, so we can call them moderately bulky. Or maybe another better analogy is if I wanted to give you a size analogy, versus this is going to be a lot more. Now, so they are very bulky. You can call them bulky. Moderately bulky. So before we talk about what exactly makes a penicillin bulky or not. So we know that the penicillin has a general structure that sort of looks like such. Okay. And it is surrounded, and this is the beta lactam group. Okay. So it's surrounded by that, and then attached to it you have an R group. This is the R group. So we know that the thing that changes really is the R group. So we know that for the very specific or the narrow spectrum antibiotics, the R group is very large. So we can depict that as such. Okay, this is a little bit of the beta lactam group. And then the R group is very, 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 very large. For the very bulky ones, yes, you also have the R group, and it is also super large. Bulky. The R group is huge. We know that the narrow spectrum means that they are very, very specific. They cannot go everywhere, so they have to attack. They have to attack the bacteria, the gram-positive bacteria, because the gram-positive bacteria is the one that has that very porous glyco layer. So this is going to be generally for gram-positive bacteria. I don't need to write bacteria. It's also going to be for gram-negative, but only gram-negative coccidius. Let me just make that clear. Gram-positive, gram-negative. This one, it can be the coccidius as well as bacillus. It is not going gram-negative bacillus. It's not going to attack them. It will work for spirochetes, so that bacteria will be okay. The very, very bulky ones, they have a large R group, so you can think of it as having large R group, and I apologize, I didn't draw it in the right color. A large R group. Large R group. That means that they're only going to be, they're very, very specific for some kinds of cells. And what it's really specific for is they are specific for Staphylococcus. Okay, so this is why they are called anti-Staphylococcus drugs. Called anti-Staphylococcal drugs. The R group is, we know that all the bacteria releases an enzyme that is a penicillinases, and the R group protects Now we're going to go to the wide-ranging ones that have many types. So if they're wide-ranging, then it have to be thin. Thin drugs that can easily pass through all the holes or the small porins in the gram-negative bacterial cell. These are very, very thin cells, very, very thin drugs. These examples are going to be amoxicillin, also ampicillin. And the very, very small drugs are called excuse me, I used the wrong one. Okay, we can say that they're called anti-pseudomonas drugs. So this is just a very brief overview of how you can think about penicillin and the different types of penicillin. One thing that I forgot to mention that I will do now is that this is penicillin G and penicillin V. So you can think of it this way. They're all moderately bulky to very bulky, thin, and very, very thin.